Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Reborn Dolls with Karen. And today we have Michael on the table. He's a very, very cute little kit from Bountiful Baby and he is a reborn. He is made from a scan of a real baby. And I assume the real baby has the same name. I'll try to fix this camera a little. Oh, that's a little better. There we go. Anyway, we're going to get started on Michael. We're going to do him the best we can and make a pretty baby, we hope. Anyway, I'm looking for my pencil. Oh, I see it. I like to do my creases at the beginning. They are a little more subtle that way. I don't like really dark creases, so I just do subtly, and then I enhance the face, and then I bake, and I come back and do a little more enhancing. But I really like to do the creases first. He doesn't have an extreme amount of creases. He's kind of a good baby for creasing. You don't have to do too many. I'm going to sharpen my pencil just a little. I usually like it a little rounded on the tip, but that's just a little too rounded. You can't hardly get down in some of those little creases with that pencil that round. I like to use the big. I get this little 69-cent sharpener from Walmart. A lot of the companies, the doll companies that sell these pencils, sell what they call the right kind of pencil sharpener. All it does is sharpen away all your pencil. I noticed that right off the bat. It's a ploy to get you to buy more pencils, I think. But I wanted to just get a point on my pencil, not necessarily, whittle it down. And when you use this little one, it whittles too much pencil off. This big fat one right here, and you stick it in there, kind of keep it in the middle, and it'll just a few turns, and you've got a sharp pencil, and you haven't cut away all your pencil. It's actually pretty easy to cut away most of your pencil. I'm not pressing down hard because sometimes it breaks the point. That's pretty good. I don't like it real sharp, but I do want it kind of sharp. Kind of rounded on the tip, but still a little bit sharp. Because you have to get the pencil down into these little crevices on the doll to be able to get nice, clean, straight creases. And I like them that way, nice and clean and straight. Okay. Just start anywhere you want to. Enhance any lines you want to. Don't enhance any you don't want to. Don't do any if you don't want to. I like the way they look, though. They give a little extra something to your doll. And every little thing we can do to make our dolls look a little more real is a little better. And you don't have to do them all, just do the ones you want. I like to do the majority of them, unless they're super wrinkled up. There's a couple of dolls that are just so wrinkled up. If you do every one of their creases, you're going to be doing it for a while. And so I don't do every single crease. I just do some of them. Like on the side of this foot, I don't know if you can see it, but there's just a really lot of little creases going across here. Way too many of them. You just do a few of them to give the look of that there's creases on the side of the foot, kind of like that. And then if you have your little brush, I always rub mine on the paper towel to make sure there's no colors in it, because I use this to sometimes, if I need to clean up the doll, from where there's too much paint, I dab it around on the doll. So it could have color in it, and then you're scrubbing it across your doll like this to minimize the creases a little bit. and you're getting a color on your doll. So I always rub it on paper towels first to make sure. Now on the bottom of the foot, I like to do every single crease if I can. It just looks so cute when they're painted up and all done up, and they have creases on the bottom of their foot too. I don't like purple as a crease color. That's what most people use. The crease color is a little bit of a cross between the blush color and the eyelid purple. It's a purpley red, and it's just the wrong color to me. It just looks so fake when you put it on the doll. I mean, that's the color they've chosen. I don't like it. So I don't use that premix color. I mean, I have a jar of creases, and I'm not saying you would never, ever, ever have an opportunity to use it, because you might, but I wouldn't recommend just going out and buying it, because here's one thing you could do if you don't buy it and you decide you want to use it. You could just mix a tiny bit of eyelid purple into your creases, into your blush, and then you have creases anyway. But, if you wanted to paint them on. But I wanted to draw them on with a pencil. And of course I was going to do purple because that's the color that the creases really are. And so I bought a bunch of different purple pencils. Of course they were much cheaper because I got them from a different place. I didn't get them from Bountiful Baby or any other doll site. I got them from Jerry's Artorama. They sell all kind of art supplies, and their pencils are about half the price of Bountiful Baby's pencils. And a little less, actually, I think, than half price. And so I bought several colors because, of course, I didn't know what color was going to be the right color. And then I didn't like any of them. And then I was buying pencils for capillaries. And I'd already zoned in on my color for veins. Excuse me. Sorry. So I wanted some capillary colors, so I was getting red colors, and I got this color, which it's too light for capillaries. That's just, but I thought, that's kind of a brownish red. A lot of people actually crease with brown because they want a skin tone in their creases. They just want it darker. And I actually at one time creased with brown. During my creasing experimentations, I creased with a lot of different colors. Purples, reds, browns. And so I thought, wonder what this little reddish brown pencil can do. And so I just decided I'd do 1 or 2 creases on a doll's bottom of their foot and see how I liked it. Well, after it came out of the oven, I loved it, and so I finished creasing the whole foot. And I haven't changed my mind yet. That doesn't mean in 2 or 3 months I might not find a better color, but I like this color. It's more of a color you'd see on a baby than purple, I think. I'm not going to say there's no place on a doll for purple because, well, they make eyelid purple, and then they make I'm trying to wonder why this side of this doll, of this leg, the foot is very smooth. They're so differently creased. I guess babies can have creases just wherever they have them, But anyway, I wanted a color that sort of matched a skin tone. I didn't want purple, and I didn't want red. I put quite a lot of red on my doll anyway. And I thought the red creases just sort of disappear when you're blushing up the feet and stuff. So it needs to be a different color. And I was eyeballing this color, and I go, I think I'll just try it. So when I did, I liked it, and I just kept with it. But like I said, it doesn't mean you won't later find a color you like better. I've changed from red creases to purple creases to brown creases, and now this color. So it's all just subjective to what you like. Okay. He's got a little bit of a crease right up here above his knee. Two of them, actually. Let's see this other knee. Oh, this one has one tiny little one. They're trying to make it more realistic, I guess, like it would be on a real baby. I don't know if I really don't know if they actually model the arms and legs after the actual baby's arms and legs, or if they're just arms and legs, I don't really know. There's that one creased. Doesn't take any time really to crease. I always like to crease in between the fingers like this, so that it looks like there's a division between the fingers, like they're not one great big molded finger. It gives a little shadowy effect that separates the fingers. And then I like to do the little dashes on the finger, the little lines that make up the knuckles and stuff. They're so cute. Every single line you do isn't going to show up later. And some of them will diminish, which is a good thing, because really and truly, there's too many lines on a doll. But which ones do you pick? I'm going to do these, but not these. I do a lot of them. And then if they don't show up, well, they just don't show up. I also crease like where the finger's curled up right there, and it makes that little, I don't know, swirly thing. It's just where the finger's touching the finger. I crease that because I want it to look like a division there between the fingers. It looks like it's a fold instead of some kind of just big hunk of plastic. I don't know any other way to put it. Oh, I hear the neighbor kids outside playing. That little boy is 3 years old, and he is one loud little kid, let me tell you. I guess kids really are loud. I'm sure my kids were very loud. People used to give me stern looks. I'm not going to say I wasn't a strict disciplinarian, because I was. But there was, you have to pick your battles. And there's some things that aren't even worth even worrying about with kids. If they're a little too loud, I told my kids, be quiet, sit down, all that kind of stuff. But if they'd run when they were little instead of walk. You know how little kids are. When I want to do these really superficial ones here that are almost just a dent, I just kind of shadow it with the side of the pencil. And then I rub it with this, and it sort of feathers it out and just makes a little bit of color there. Anyway, my kids would want to go, like we'd be in the restaurant and ordering drinks or something, and you'd have to go over to this other little counter and get your straws and stuff. They'd want to run over there and get the straws, and they couldn't reach them, so they'd kind of jump up on the side of the thing to reach them, and people would look at you like you were crazy or something. I didn't see any harm in that. They're just trying to reach the straws. They're not climbing on it for recreation. And they'd act like, I don't know, they'd give you just stern looks. They wouldn't say anything. If you don't have a good seal on your doll, this doll has been sealed. If you don't have a good seal on your doll, you're not going to get any writing on your doll that's worth anything. It's going to have skips in it. You won't have a good solid line when you're drawing a line. It's just not going to work out well. I'm not going to say you can't mark on a doll that isn't sealed, because you can, but it won't look good. You want nice, crisp lines. You want your lines to go all the way. However far you're trying to draw them, you want them to go all the way there with no skips in them. You notice it most on hair, when you're trying to pencil hair and you're making the line, and it's like line, skip, because it's just not right and good on the head because it's not sealed. And I seal all of my dolls first. This doll has been washed and sealed before I came on camera, because sealing takes so long, and it takes up so much of your time that you could be working on creating the doll when sealing's just nothing. I mean, you just put the sealer on and bake it. I mean, that's just all it is. And who wants to see that over and over again? You know, it's not something worth looking at, really. People want to see the techniques and the artistic stuff, and they want to watch the doll come alive, and they don't really want to see putting sealer on. I also don't cover usually putting the doll together. Nobody wants to see that either, I don't think. I do it on the follow-alongs because they're for beginners who have never put a doll together maybe, and they're a little bit worried about how to do it. That looks pretty good. I know I forgot one thing on this doll, and that's the little dimples on the knuckles. I want them to show too, so I've got to put a little color in them. There we go. Okay, so now that part is done. Now we're going to work on the face. Usually I work on the face a little bit first, and then I work on the creases while the face is drying a little bit. I don't have any more tissues. I have to use some toilet paper to wipe my nose. Sorry, y'all. Allergy season is upon us, and it makes my nose just run. It's just horrible. Okay, face time. And then we're going to do nails and lips. Nails and lips have to be built up, so we have to do them every single time we do something to the doll. He has a lot of creases and stuff on his face. He's got some potential for some highlights and stuff. So we're going to start with our blue, which is the color I always start with. I like it to do it first. It's the, oh, and I saw somebody online putting blue. They wanted to put blue in the face of the doll, but they didn't put it on the outside. They put it on the inside. Have any of y'all ever done that? My doll is stuffed on the inside to make the head keep its shape. But I'm going to pull the stuffing out. I'm going to try to put some blue on the inside. They used liquidy, watery blue that they had in a little container and put it on the inside of the doll. And they said, you might not see it right away, but it will soak through the vinyl and you'll see a little bit of trace of it on the outside of the doll. I don't know. I don't really want Michael to be my test kit for that, but we're going to try it out and see. Michael's a highly sought after doll. That's why if you mess it up, well, we are messed up, you know. But I'm going to try that one. I think it's probably subtle. I don't really know. I can hardly get the stuffing out after I get it in there. That's what these hemostats are for. Let me see if I can reach them. Well, I'm going to have to stand up to get the hemostats. Yep, they're at the bottom. There we go. I bought these because, well, I needed to reach inside the head sometimes. And the problem was, every time you close them, they had a little locking mechanism here, because these are really for doctors. And they use them to clip off your arteries and stuff when they're doing surgery so you don't bleed out, you know. And this thing locks real tight. But every time I'd close them, they'd lock. And it annoyed the crap out of me, because then I'd have to unlock them. So I just had my son grind it off with his grinder. And now they don't lock anymore. They're more like a pair of scissors. They just open and close when you want them to. The problem with trying to pull polyfill out with hemostats, though, is it only grabs a little corner of the polyfill. If you're not careful, it'll just rip that teeny little piece off, and then you have all these little shreds that you ripped off instead of bigger pieces. Sometimes I just mash the head like this and get it out. It doesn't hurt it, really. Because if you're putting eyes in your doll, you're having to mash the head a whole lot anyway to get the eyes in. I think I might have overstuffed his head. It's a lot of polyfill coming out. Sometimes, you know, when you heat the head without anything inside of it, it'll start to collapse in like this. And right where it collapses in on the inside, it's making a little point and it's splitting open. and you'll get a big old fissure in the doll's head, and then you have to try to repair it. So it's just better just to go on and just stuff the head to begin with. There we go, that's out. Okay, I'm going to put some blue inside his head and see if it does anything I like. I've heard of doing this. I never saw anybody actually do it though. And this person painted different than anything I've ever seen anybody do before. It was just very, very old-fashioned painting techniques. And super watery paint, but she didn't dab anything off. She just put it on. There was no dabbing anything off. And because it was very, very watery, it didn't need, I guess, any dabbing. Make sure I don't have anything on my, yeah. Okay. They put it all around where the eyes and nose and mouth would be on the inside of the head. Let's see if I can do that. It's so shiny. The inside vinyl is really, really shiny. And you can see it when you look at the inside of Pearl's head. See, this is what the outside looks like. It's very smooth, but the inside is very, very shiny. See how shiny that is? I don't know if it could take paint. Maybe I'll try it to Pearl first. Let's see. Let me paint some on. See, it's not staying. That's the problem, is it doesn't stay where you put it because the vinyl is too slick. It just all runs off, see? Well, I can't show you it's going to run off for real. But if I paint it all around in here and leave it sit a minute, I wonder what will happen. There's way too much in there. Way too much. It's a puddle even. Try to dab out some of that puddle. So it's painted around, it looks like that, but I don't see anything happening on the face. That slick, slick coating, I don't know if it can do anything. I'll just leave it lay a minute, and we'll come back and look at it in a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to do some other things to the face. One of them's going to be get as much off of this paintbrush as I can, because I didn't have any dry paint for this step, so I'm going to have to use wet paint. This is what happens when you forget to dip your brushes, and you can't use that wet paint, that dry paint technique. You have to paint it on with wet paint, and be scared you're going to do something wrong. I don't want that. Get me a sponge. This is for the forehead, where I usually put it on the forehead. And I'm going to put it... Yeah, he's pretty slick on the inside, too. I'm just checking it to see. Right across here on the forehead like this. Then I'm going to immediately start dabbing it, because it can start soaking in really, really quick. And you don't want too much blue on your doll. They start to look like bruised or something. At the very least, and maybe dead. Yeah, that looks good. It's not too much. So you shouldn't be able to see it. If you see it at all, it's very vague. That's how it's supposed to look. Let's see if anything's happening yet. I don't see a thing. I don't see a thing. Do y'all see anything on the outside that looks like blue highlights or anything? Because I don't. It's supposed to show through and make it look like, oh, I'm starting to see something, I think. Huh. That's weird. I don't think it's soaking through. I think you can just see it because the vinyl's a little bit translucent. Can you see anything? I know with the lighting here, if the closer you get to the camera, the more, it's not anything pronounced that you would go, oh yeah, I see blue on her face. It's not like that. It's just vague, very, very vague. Probably wouldn't even show later. I might think about that a little more before I do it to my doll. I have put blue on the outside on some more of the face, but I've never done it from the inside. I just don't know if it's worth even trying. He's a sleeping doll, so he won't have them eye sockets to catch the fluid around. It'll just smoothly flow over his face, but I just don't know if I want to do it. I might try a little bit. Let's try a little bit. It seemed to me like what she was putting on her doll on the inside of the head was very light and thin. She didn't seem like she was getting a lot of it. She just painted it around in there. And of course, when she showed you what it looked like, you couldn't see it because you never can on enhancements. You never can see the color because it's on camera. On camera, things don't look the same as they do when you can see it right in person, you know. Okay, I'm going to try to put a little bit in the corner of his eyes now. Maybe I'm making him too blue. I don't know. With the eye stuff and the stuff on the inside of the head. And if this works, I'll start doing it to my dolls because I've been wanting to put a little more blue on them, but I'm scared to. Okay, there's that. I don't put much blue on my dolls usually, but I ain't seeing nothing. He's so slick on the inside that it's not soaking in or anything. It's like he's coated. I don't even know how to, that's probably the way the vinyl really looks, and then they put a finish on the outside some kind of way that makes it not be so slick. It is kind of slick. That's why I put the sealer on it. Maybe I should have put some sealer on the inside of his head too. I don't know. I'm guessing at this. But I did put it in there, so we're going to see what happens. I got to get the blue off my fingers now. Give it a minute. It's not showing at all. I can't see anything. Nothing. Just like I did nothing. I'll put the polyfill back in his head. Because by now, that's already dry. And anyway, I don't think it's going to do anything at all. Whatever. It was a waste of time, I think. If you've ever done this technique, give me a comment and tell me how it came out for you, because it's not really working for me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I really don't know. But I'm going to put some purple on this doll. I don't usually put purple on my dolls because they don't have enough expression on their face. Purple is a very shadowy color, and when you put it on your doll, you're going to put it in spots that you want to be a little bit more shadowy than the rest of it. And if you want his frowns to show, you're going to have to put purple on his face. That's sort of a rule or something. I should have plenty purple. See, I'm gonna try to enhance these little cracks where his little frown cracks that are coming out from his eyes, and then these little indentations. It's like when you make a frown, you get these little creases, and I don't know. I just want them to show a little bit better. And purple's the way to go on those. Sometimes you have to put it on a couple times to really get enough color to do any good, but it'll make it a little bit darker there. As you're painting your doll and you're putting colors on top of colors on top of colors, the purple tends to darken the area that you're trying to highlight just slightly, a shadowy little slight bit, so that when you put the next color on, it's going to be a little darker, a little shadowier. And so I just pick my little spots. You just go around the face and you pick the spots you want to enhance. Like he's got this little bit of, it's like he's closing his eye real tight and making a little pucker right by his eye right there. So I'm going to just put a little right there. You just pick your spots like that. You just go around the face and go, yeah, I think I'll put some right there. You know, it's a choice. You just pick it. I'm going to put a little around his nose like this, which may not even show later. May need to do that later. I'm going to put some in his nose since I have purple out. We want to put every color we put on our doll in their nose. Even blue. If you put, well, I didn't put any blue in the nose, but you can actually put blue in the nose as well. Okay. Put a little in this little crease under his chin. And he's got a little bit of a little saggy thing right here going on by his cheeks. I'm going to put a little purple there. That purple doesn't have any color on it. It doesn't have to be really, really dark. In fact, some of the purple you put on them, you're not going to want it to look really, really dark. So it's okay to put it on light as well. You know, you don't have to have every little piece of it super bold. But you should be able to tell something is there, otherwise it's not going to do anything to the doll later. Maybe you can see that it's shadowy. You probably can't see purple, but right up here it should be shadowier. Down here coming down from his nose down should be a little bit shadowy. He's got a little under his chin under here that's shadowy. And these areas should stay a little darker than some of the other areas on his face. So there's that. That's about all the purple I'm going to be doing. I'm not a big fan of purple on a doll. I mean, this is eyelid purple I'm using. It's not creases. I don't use creases. I just think it's the funkiest color. Now we're going to do the red. Now the red takes the longest. It takes the most brushes. I have 3 jars of brushes for red. Most of them don't have any color hardly in them at all because they're just too little. But I like to put a little red on his nose. I want his nose to be slightly darker than the rest of his blushy face. You know, slightly darker than his normal skin color, let's put it that way. After his face is blushed, his whole face will be slightly darker pink. Well, I mean, where the blush is will be. And the nose is one of the areas I want to have that way. This paint is a little dark because, well, it only got dipped yesterday. Now, where's my little... that's weird. I was going to get that same sponge I've been using, but I guess I threw it out or something. I guess I'll use this one. If your color's too dark, dabbing does take some of it off, see? And it'll soften the color. And if it's really too dark or stark, you can kabuki it a little bit, and that'll take some of it off as well. We only wanted a little pink like that. But I'm just going to say it every time I say the word pink. Don't put pink on your doll. This is this color. It's really dark, bloody red, wine-ish looking color. Because that's the color that you want. But the fact that I wiped a lot of it off and made it pinky looking, that's okay. We're not really putting pink on our doll. Pink would be Barbie color. And you don't want that. Believe me, you want light red. And the color red you use is also a preference. I use pre-mixed colors mostly because I'm not going to sit here and mix every color I want to use. I'm just not. I'm not willing to do it, and it's a bad idea in my opinion because you're never going to get the same color twice because you had to mix it. And you're going to go, now how much of this one did I put? You know? Anyway, I use pre-mixed colors. Now, I did find that when Genesis went away, somebody is really stomping. When Genesis went away and Jim and I took over, their red is a little too pink for me. I don't use their lip nail and blush. I've went away from that. I use another color instead, which I'll show you in a minute. Oh, it's right there. I had to put my eyeballs on it. Now that's too dark, so I'm going to dab it. I only want it slightly pinkish. And if you can't dab all the spots, that's what your little magic brush. I call this my magic brush. I highly recommend you get a magic brush. I don't buy expensive paint brushes. The only reason I have this highly expensive brush It's because it came in a beginner kit. And I'm not even a fan of beginner kits. They give you a bunch of stuff you don't need. And besides this really, really good paintbrush and this really, really good paintbrush, they gave me some crappy paintbrushes too. And you know all that money that those beginner kits cost, it's a waste. You just buy the things you need. But I bought the beginner kit like an idiot. And but I got those two good brushes. I went back to try to find the brushes just to buy the brushes. You can't afford them. I buy these brushes. They're a lot cheaper and they still work good. Uh, One of the things people like about those sets is they have a lot of different sizes and shapes and configurations of brushes so that you can get in all these little tight spaces and stuff. But you see, I'm using this brush to do the back of the ear, which is a tight space. But I have all those brushes too. My set came with them too. But my set was much, much cheaper. Mine didn't come from a doll site. It came from, well, originally Walmart. I started buying them at Walmart, but Walmart stopped carrying them. And I guess they weren't popular. I was buying them, but I don't know if anybody else was or not. But they quit carrying them, and so I just Google them now to find them. Because from one time you buy them to the next, the place where you bought them last time might not have them anymore. It's that weird. But I actually thought they might have been discontinued, but they're not. You can actually go to the Royal and Langnickel site and find them, but I like to find an Office Depot, a Jerry's Artorama, or someplace like that that's going to have stuff cheaper, a Michael's, anywhere that has them. That's all we need is a place that has them. And then you can pick the cheapest place you can find. They're called Royal and Langnickel Crafter's Choice Simulated Camel Hair 15 brush set. Yes, you need to put all that in. Google that whole thing. Okay, we got the nose and we got the ears. Now we're going to start blushing his face. See how white it makes his face look, just super white? So any part of the face that doesn't get any color at all now is going to look super white like that. And we don't want that. So we're going to be putting a little bit of blush all over his face. But in some areas, it's going to be a lot more blushier than other areas. Anyway, you want the ones with this gold colored handle. I ordered another set that has these purple handles because I thought they were probably the same thing. But almost every brush in this set is flat. And I don't like flat brushes. They don't... One or two flat brushes is all you need. But these are much better. The bristles do not fall out. Don't just get any Royal and Langnickel brush because some of them, the bristles fall out. I ordered some other Royal and Langnickel brushes because I thought, well, they're good brushes. I've got some. And they had a different color handle and different colored bristles when the bristles fell out. Every time you touched it, bristles were falling out. So anyway, this kind is better. I'm putting a little bit on the eyes. Just a little bit. Very, very light like that. Much lighter than the nose even, see? And we're going to sort of put that lighter color all over the face because, like I said, if we don't, the face is going to look starkly way too light compared to the rest of what we blush. So I'm just going to brush around on the face a little bit, very lightly, putting color all over it, sort of. Kind of just everywhere. Because we don't want to leave any starkly white spots on his face. And if you think you're getting it too dark, you just dab some of it off. Some of these spots that are getting real dark are going to have dark blush anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we do not want the whole face to be super dark, so. Sometimes we have to do the enhancements in 2 stages because you can't really get the face exactly right with one go. So, put a little on the chin. Put a little over here on the sides of the face. Well, just a little. We're just trying to rose him up a little. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to start blushing. You're going, what? What did you just do? Well, it wasn't the blush. That's just rosing him up a little. Let's see if I can find a brush that might have enough color in it to actually blush him up. I'm going to use this great big mop brush because it's got a lot of bristles and it's going to have a lot of color in it, I hope. And we're just going to dab it all over his cheeks. What we're going for here is almost a check mark shape, like if you came down the cheek and came back up like this. But it's going to be a little fatter than an actual check mark. But it kind of reminds me of a check mark when I get finished doing it. We want it to extend up around the temples a little bit and be very dark like that. See? It came down his cheek and then it came up. Now we're going to dab that because we don't want it to be that stark. We do want it to cover all that area, but we don't want it to be so dark and then just disappear. We want to be able to see it fading away a little bit. And see, when you do dab it, it gets a lot lighter, see? So now I'm going to do this side over here. Excuse me. But you see, I rosed his face up a little bit, so you can tell on his chin it's much lighter than this, and on his eyes it's much lighter. We want this rosy part of his cheeks to be much darker than just the color we're trying to obtain on the rest of his face. So anyway, I'm going to do a little on his forehead now. And what I do is, a lot of people call this a stork bite. I just call it just a little bit of a blush on his forehead. I don't do the whole forehead. I just do one little spot, like one side. And it gives him a little bit of uneven blushiness like a baby would really have. You know, they're not going to always be blushed on, not even on both sides of their face evenly, but I don't like crooked stuff, so I'm mostly a symmetrical person, but I do this little piece that's only on one side of his little forehead. So it just gives him that little accent on his forehead. He's looking very cute already. Now, I want his face to be a lot more blushy than this. This is not dark enough. It's blushed in the right areas, but the blush is not dark enough to make it through all the layers of paint. But if I try to put more on right now, he's going to lose what is already on his face. So I can bake him, and we can do round 2. Or I'm going to probably just heat him up with my heat gun. That will not cure his paint, but it will come close. You just get your heat gun. And this is not mandatory. This is a choice if you want one or not. But certain things you do on a doll, heat guns come in handy. This is a very cheap one. It doesn't have any sort of temperature control. It just gets hot. And it'll make the vinyl on your doll hot. You'll be able to feel it if you touch the doll. But nothing like what it would if you put it in the oven and baked it. That's going to be super hot. Burn your fingers almost. I never actually got a blister or even an actual burn from touching my doll. But I suppose if you just held your hand on it as soon as it came out of the oven for an extended period of time, you could. But anyway, we're not going to be heating this doll that much. We're not really trying to cure the paint as so much as we're trying to just sort of cure it. I don't know if that makes sense. Dry it, for one thing, really well. So 2 to 3 minutes to make it set a little bit so we can put some more blush on it without having to take an 8-minute bake and maybe like a 12-minute cooling off period is worth it. So here we go. And we're just going to do the part of the face that we want to redo. We don't want to redo the ears or anything like that. I'm just going to be doing pretty much the cheeks and the forehead. And it's going to be much lighter when I get finished doing this, and you'll notice it. We want to move around to different areas. You don't want the nozzle to touch your doll. Yeah, it's getting hot. But the amount of hot that's on this doll is nothing close to what would happen if you put it in the oven. This is going to cool very quickly, whereas it would take longer than the bake for it to cool. Now you can tell his face is much lighter now. Everything gets lighter when it gets baked or heated or cured or any of those things. Now he's not cured, he's just heated. So, but he is enough where we can put another coat on and not worry about this one coming off. Usually, if the doll is only partially dry or cured or whatever you want to call it, and you put, and the paint's this heavy, it just takes off what's already on there. And it just, you'll start to see where the paint is actually coming off instead of going on. You're going, well, that looks worse than it did, you know. So if you're not experienced with a heat gun, or you don't have the time to do it, or you don't want to try it, or you don't have one, or whatever your issue is, just go on and just bake your doll. It's worth it. But just keep remembering that when you bake, you have got to let that cool. And you want it to be as cool as it is when it's not even a bit cold, cold, not heated at all. And he's almost there right now, so he's close enough. I'm going to go on and paint him. We'll put a lot more paint on his face. We want it a lot darker than it was, but we still don't want it to be this stark. Look at how stark that looks. It's just too, it looks like he's been out and got a sunburn. We don't want that look either. So we're going to just dab him until we like it. And if you're not getting it with the sponge, get out your kabuki. I have a kabuki for each color because they're kind of fragile. They're for makeup. They're not for paint. And getting them wet all the time and trying to clean them just makes them fall apart. So I don't clean them. I just have one for each color. It took me a while because kabukis are kind of expensive. I did buy the Equate brand at Walmart, so it was the cheapest kind they had. But I think they were about $6 a piece anyway. So you can kabuki them a little bit like this, and kabukis will feather it out a little bit better, than a little quicker and a little easier than the sponge will. Now look how nice that looks compared to that side. So we're going to do this side now. I'm going to try to get it that color as well. Looking good. And this is how you can take a few little shortcuts on your doll if you use a heat gun. You can dry the paint enough to apply the same color again. I wouldn't try another color without baking. Now he's starting to look rosy. Look at that, he looks rosy. Now when we put his skin colors and stuff on top of him, it's not going to just fade away all his rosy. He's going to get a nice little bake. We'll put a little more on his nose. It doesn't look quite the color I want it to be. Yep, that looks better. Really, a lot of his color is going to almost look like it fades away. It won't be gone, but it'll seem so much lighter. And if you're not comparing it to, say, the back of his head or something, you're not going to notice that it really is really painted, But anytime you just think your doll does not look painted enough, or you're not making any progress, just get you out a blank kit and put them side by side and get yourself a reality check. And you'll go, oh, I am making headway. It didn't look like it, but I am. Okay, now that we've done his blush on his face, really the only other thing we can do without a bake is his lips and his nails. And I like to get started on them early as well because they have to be built up. And you don't want to just put super dark paint all in one go on your doll's lips because it's just going to be ugly and cracky looking. We have to use a thicker, darker paint than we would have in this jar. Now that looks plenty dark, I know, but it's watery looking. Look, it's just very fluid, and what's in here is thick, almost the consistency of house paint. It's thick, but not quite. It's made with thinning medium. We just put thinning medium in a jar. Well, I just got a jar of thinning medium. That's what this was. And I took a little bit out because, you know, it's almost up to the top. And you can't really put paint in there and then be able to mix it without making a huge mess. And I put thinning medium in my paints anyway. So I took a little bit out and put it in a jar. And then I started mixing my color in there. And it is Lip Nail Blush color. It's the Genesis, the old kind. It just lasts forever. This little jar lasts forever. So that's why I still have it, because I have no more lip nail blush color to mix for my actual blush. I have to use something else. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you what I used for that. What I'm using now to mix my lip nail blush is this color from Gemini. I don't use their lip nail blush. It's just way too pink. I use this. It's called, I think it's quinacridone Crimson #1. I can't say that word. I don't know if that's right or not. I put mostly this, and it's still slightly pinkish. As dark as that looks, it comes out slightly pinkish. And the colors aren't so true, but I add just a little bit of blue to it, and it makes it the right color. So anyway, here we go. We're going to paint his lips. What we want to do here is I'm using this tiny, tiny brush, and the set that I was telling you about getting has brushes like that as well. Here's one right here. See, it just has a few little bristles in it. And you want to use a very fine brush like that because we want to do some very fine detail work. And I'm taking my glasses off to do it because I can see the fine details better without my glasses. What we're going to do is we're going to get some paint, and we're going to wipe almost every bit of it back off the paintbrush. We don't want hardly any paint on our paintbrush. If you can't even see this, it's okay. I mean, the whole idea of doing it this early is to be able to stay within the lip line. So you do want to see it a little, and you'll see it a little, but you won't see it dark. It won't be dark. So we're just going to paint her lips, and we're going to be very careful about the way we do it. We're going to make sure that we're staying within his lip line. I said her. And we're going to make it very smooth, and we're going to put an incredibly thin layer on there on purpose. For this layer, we want it to be very, very thin. Sometimes you have to look at these lips at some different angles to be able to tell if you're in the lip line or not. Like I said, if it doesn't even hardly show at all after the bake, it's perfectly fine, because multiple thin layers is much, much prettier than a thick layer. And as you go along, each layer you put on your doll, you can actually get a little bit thicker if you want to. You don't have to stay this thin the whole time. The first couple of layers, though, I like it to be super, super thin. I think I'm starting to see a little blue through his vinyl. I don't know. I can't tell for sure. I see something. It looks like an undertone. These are undertones. I call them enhancements because they enhance the way your doll looks, but most people call them undertones. These are going to be under the paint that we're going to put on the doll. We haven't even started really painting the doll yet. These are just enhancements. I do my enhancements mostly with dry brushes. And the reason I do that is because it's so clean and beautiful, and you don't have to worry about it being globby or lots of paint getting down in the crevices and making it dirty looking. You don't have to worry about that. And all I do is I take my paints. I don't wash my brushes. That's why I get cheaper brushes, because I want brushes for every color. I don't want to have to wash them out and try to get every little bit of that red out before I put it in a yellow or something. And so I just go with brushes that I can afford, and I got me a set for each color. And but except red. I use a lot of red, and so I have 3 jars full of red brushes. I know that's crazy, but it's not 3 sets. It's not, well, a lot of the colors don't have a whole set. Like the ones you're going to put on in layers, you only really need 1 or 2 brushes. And oh man, it's hard to see that lip line. I don't see well. Plus my shaky hands equals uneven paint sometimes. I'm real picky about the lips. I take my time. I barely touch the brush to the paint. I don't know if you can even see there's just a tiny drop of paint on the end of that brush. Because I don't want it thick. I don't want to be having to pull it off and wipe it off. And I just want it to be right the first time. So I just put this tiny dot on there. And then I proceed to just paint it on the doll. And then if it's too much, I'll pull some of it off. I want it super thin. This, even though this is thicker paint, it can run too. And it will, it'll run into the creases of the lips, and it'll look like he has super chapped lips. I don't like that. I want smooth lips. They put those little lines in the lips already, which I don't like. Smoother lips would be better, but oh well, we have to deal with what they put. And so I just try to smooth it out the best I can. After I get the whole lip painted, I try to make the lines really smooth too. They just look a little better. Now this little coat we're doing right now will be our guide for our next coat and our next coat and our next coat. Every time we paint the doll, we're going to do the lips and the nails. That's the best way to do it, so that's the way we're going to do it. I'm probably putting a little too much on here. I'm probably going to be sorry I put this much on. It makes it a lot smoother if you put it on very, very thin. The very first coat needs to be the thinnest one. And then after that, you can start getting slightly thicker as you move along. But I can't even tell they're painted, so I'm putting a little more on there, and then I'll pull some off because I just don't want to leave any unpainted. If you leave any part of the lips unpainted, you're going to see that when you're trying to reborn your doll, and you're going to go, okay, I need to do something about those lips. And you're going to have the worst trouble trying to catch up that little spot where you didn't do it right. So, okay, now I'm going to pull off the excess. I'm just going up and down on the lips, up and down like this, where the little grooves are, and trying to pull some of that heavy paint that's stuck in those grooves out. I don't want to be able to see those lines. It looks ugly. Lips just take a little while. They're not really that hard to do. You just have to go easy at it and take your time and, just be real picky about it. If you're getting too much in your brush, just rub it on your paper towel like that, and it'll take it off, and then it'll start soaking up some of that excess paint that's stuck in the grooves. You just, sort of dab it in there, and now that's what his lips look like. I don't know. I like it. I stayed within the lip line. This bumpy, thick part under his lips is it's just the skin under your lips. You're not supposed to paint that. Some people do, and it looks retarded. Anyway, I'm sorry. We're not supposed to use that word retarded anymore, are we? Okay, now I'm going to do the nails. They're also kind of delicate. You want to do the same thing to them. Very thin, and stay within the nail lines. Very, very thin. When it comes out, it's going to look ghostly white. Ghostly pink, I mean. It's going to look like, I can't stand it when one of them bristles is separated from the other bristles. So I have to stick it down in the paint and get it wet and then wipe off most of the paint. Because I can't stand that. That one little bristle will mess me up painting. That's too much paint. If you're getting a dark color when you put it on the nails, it's too much paint. On these first layers, it should be nearly invisible. You barely see it. It's just lightly, lightly pink. A little more. Yeah, when the shoe comes out from he comes out from the oven, you might not can even see those nails. They may look like they're not painted at all. The enhancements take the longest. It's gonna, the video is for the enhancements is a little bit longer. Don't get yourself in some big hurry and say, I just do it real fast. You want to do a really good job on every part of your doll. And you want to make every single thing you do on your doll count. Instead of going, man, I wish I'd have done one more layer of that, or I wish I'd have done it this way instead of that way. Or maybe if I didn't hurry so much, you can have all these regrets. And so you don't want to have that. So you just want to do it right the first time. Michael's a cute little kit, and I want him to come out cute. Okay, there's one hand and one foot. I don't really know that you'd be able to see the nails, but I'll show them to you. They're not going to show much. Michael has some big legs, I think. I'm just having to check these rims to see if they say Michael on them. I think they do. Yeah, they do. And I know these are his hands. I can tell. Oh, goody. I like it when they have their fists balled up and in one of their nails or two of their nails are covered completely. He's got two covered completely nails, so I only have to paint 3 on this hand. On your second and third and fourth coats of paint, if you're not getting the color you want on your nails, you can go a little bit thicker. But I like the thin coats better. They come out looking better at the end. Paint sticks to paint. That's something that, almost 2 on this one. I hate it when you have to paint a partial nail or the nail's way underneath and you have to try to paint it. Paint sticks to paint. Think of it that way. Even if you can't see the paint because it's very light or the color's dim, it's still there. So it's the next time it's going to make paint stick to it better. And that's what we're after, is each layer to be a little better than the layer before. We're going to build it up. And when he comes out of the oven, we'll do part 2 of his enhancements. We still have to do the hands and the feet, which we haven't even done yet because we creased him, and you can't do it because it'll rub the creases off until he bakes. Baking will make his pencil even permanent. Well, let's go with semi-permanent. I have actually rubbed off some of the pencil when I'm painting. Okay, that's got his nails too. Now he's ready to go in the oven and get a bake. So we're going to do that right now. And when we come back, he will be ready for his second round of undertones or enhancements or whatever you want to call them. So anyway, we're going to do that and then come back. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And happy reborning.